Have you ever noticed how a single flower can stop time? Not metaphorically, but literally. In that moment when something beautiful captures your complete attention, where does time go? Where do your problems go? Where does the voice in your head go? Take one conscious breath now and allow your eyes to rest on something beautiful near you. It might be the way light touches a surface, the curve of a leaf, or simply the miracle of your own breathing. Notice what happens in your body when you truly see rather than merely look. There is a profound difference between these two. Looking is what the mind does. It categorizes, compares, judges. But seeing happens in stillness. It requires no effort, no analysis, no improvement. Seeing is the natural state of consciousness when it is not clouded by thought. Beauty has this extraordinary power to dissolve the barriers that the mind creates between itself and life. When you encounter something truly beautiful, the mental commentary that usually fills your head suddenly becomes quiet. In that quietness, something deeper than thought recognizes itself. The seer and the seen merge into one seamless experience. This is not philosophy. This is immediate reality available to you right now. Beauty is continuously offering itself as a doorway out of the psychological realm of time and into the eternal present. But how often do we miss this invitation because we are elsewhere, lost in the stories of past and future that the mind weaves endlessly? The flower doesn't know it is beautiful. The sunset doesn't try to be magnificent. The child's laughter doesn't aim to be joyful. Beauty arises naturally when there is no self-consciousness, no effort to become something other than what is. This is why beauty has such power to awaken presence in us. It reminds us of our own natural state before the mind learned to create such. Apparition through thought. Notice the space between these words. In that space, something vast and still is present. That space is not empty. It is full of potential, full of aliveness, full of the same essence that expresses itself as every beautiful form in existence. You are that space. You are not separate from what you are seeing. When you were a child, perhaps you remember lying on your back watching clouds drift across the sky. In those moments, there was no observer and observed. There was simply the experience of looking, of being present with what was unfolding. The mind had not yet learned to create the illusion of separation. That capacity for direct perception is still within you, waiting to be remembered. The ego, that collection of thoughts and stories about who you think you are, cannot survive in the presence of true beauty. Beauty requires surrender, requires letting go of the need to understand, control, or possess. When you stand before a magnificent sunset, something in you knows that no amount of analysis can capture its essence. The mind becomes humble, becomes still, and in that stillness, your true nature is revealed. Watch what happens when you see something beautiful. Notice how the internal dialogue naturally quiets. Notice how your breathing deepens. Notice how the sense of time shifts. These are not coincidences. They are symptoms of consciousness recognizing itself. The beauty you perceive is not outside of you. It is the very same awareness that looks through your eyes, temporarily forgetting its formless nature and appearing as form. This recognition changes everything. You begin to understand that you are not a separate entity in a world of objects, but rather the very consciousness in which all forms arise and dissolve. The beautiful flower exists in you as much as you exist in the space that contains both you and the flower. There is no real boundary, no actual separation. This is what the mystics have pointed to for millennia, not as a belief but as a direct, immediate recognition. But notice how quickly the mind wants to reclaim control, how it wants to label the experience, categorize it, compare it to other beautiful things you have seen. Perhaps you find yourself reaching for your phone to capture the moment. In that reaching, what happens to the direct experience? The living moment is often lost in the attempt to preserve it, to make it into something the mind can own. This is the ego's fundamental confusion. It believes that by possessing, by having, by accumulating experiences and memories, it can somehow capture life, but life cannot be captured. Beauty cannot be possessed. It can only be lived, experienced, surrendered to in the eternal now. The moment you become aware that you are thinking about beauty rather than experiencing it, a shift happens, a space opens. You are no longer lost in mental commentary. You are the awareness in which all thoughts arise and pass away. In this space, beauty is not something you seek. It is what remains when seeking falls away. Take another conscious breath. Feel the life force entering your body. Can you sense the beauty of this simple act? The intelligence that coordinates the expansion of your lungs, the oxygenation of your blood, the nourishment of every cell, all happening without your conscious control. This is beauty in its most intimate form, the miracle of existence expressing itself as you. When you breathe consciously in the presence of something beautiful, the experience deepens exponentially. The breath becomes a bridge between the one who sees and what is seen until that bridge dissolves and there is only seeing, only being, only the eternal dance of consciousness knowing itself. But beauty is not limited to what the mind judges as pleasant or aesthetically pleasing. A crack in the sidewalk can be beautiful when seen with present moment awareness. The sound of traffic can reveal its own rhythm and poetry. The face of someone experiencing grief can radiate a profound beauty in its authenticity and vulnerability. This is the ultimate teaching. Beauty is not a quality that some things have and others lack. Beauty is a quality of consciousness that you bring to whatever you encounter. When you are fully present, fully open, fully available to what is, everything reveals its hidden beauty. Not because you have added something to the experience, but because you have removed the veil of mental noise that usually obscures your natural capacity to see clearly. The timeless dimension of existence is not somewhere else, some future attainment or past memory. It is here, now, hidden in plain sight. When you encounter beauty, you are not having an experience in time. You are touching the eternal. Time, as the mind understands it, is simply not present in moments of true aesthetic appreciation. Have you ever been so absorbed in a beautiful sunset that you lost all sense of how long you had been watching? Where did time go? It didn't go anywhere. You simply stepped out of psychological time and into the eternal present. This is the natural state of consciousness when it is not fragmented by thought. The mind lives in time, always referencing the past, always projecting into the future. But beauty exists only in the now. You cannot remember beauty. You can only remember the thought of beauty. The actual experience of beauty is immediate, alive, present. It cannot be stored, only lived. This is why photographs of beautiful places often disappoint us. We try to capture the eternal in the temporal, the formless in form. But the beauty we experienced was not in the objects themselves. It was in the quality of consciousness that was present when we encountered them. Without that presence, the photograph is just colored paper. When you truly see a flower, not the image of a flower in your mind, not your associations with flowers, but this particular flower expressing itself in this unique moment, something profound occurs. The flower exists in a dimension beyond time. It is not going anywhere, not trying to become something other than what it is. It simply is, and in that being, it teaches you about your own timeless nature. The ancient trees know this secret. They have stood for decades, sometimes centuries, rooted in the eternal present. When you sit quietly with a tree, something in you remembers how to be still, how to be present, how to exist without the constant mental commentary that fragments experience into past and future. Notice the space around the tree. Notice how it extends in all directions, containing the tree while remaining uncontained. You are that space. The thoughts that move through your mind are like birds flying through the sky of your awareness. The sky is not disturbed by the birds, just as your essential nature is not disturbed by the movement of thoughts. In this recognition, something extraordinary happens. The seeking mind, which is always looking for the next beautiful experience, begins to relax. You realize that what you were seeking was never absent. The beauty, the peace, the love you thought you needed to find outside yourself were always the very nature of your being. The seeking itself was what kept you from recognizing what you already are. This is not a concept to be understood intellectually. It is a living reality to be experienced directly. Right now, in this moment, the eternal is available, not as a future possibility, but as the very ground of your being. The beautiful forms that arise in your experience are simply the eternal expressing itself temporarily, like waves on the ocean of consciousness. When you rest in this understanding, even for a moment, a profound peace settles in. Not the peace of getting what you want, but the peace of realizing you never lacked anything. The beauty you perceive in the world is simply consciousness recognizing itself, celebrating its own infinite creativity. Step outside for a moment if you can, or simply imagine yourself in nature. Feel your feet on the earth. Notice how the ground receives you without resistance, without judgment. The earth has been holding billions of beings for millions of years, and it holds you now with the same unconditional presence. Look at a tree, any tree. Notice how it stands in perfect balance between earth and sky, its roots extending deep into the darkness while its branches reach toward the light. The tree doesn't struggle with this paradox. It embodies it. It teaches you wordlessly about the marriage of opposites, about being fully grounded while remaining open to the infinite. The tree is not trying to be anything other than what it is. It doesn't question its worth or compare itself to other trees. It doesn't worry about tomorrow's weather or regret yesterday's storms. It exists in complete acceptance of what it is, and in that acceptance, it radiates a profound beauty that touches something deep within you. When you sit quietly with a tree, your nervous system begins to entrain with its stillness. Your breathing slows, your mind quiets, and you remember what it feels like to simply be without the constant effort of becoming. The tree becomes your teacher in the art of presence. Water knows this same secret. Watch a stream flowing over rocks. Notice how it encounters each obstacle with perfect fluidity, neither fighting nor forcing, but finding its way through pure acceptance of what is. The water doesn't hold onto the rocks it passes. It moves with them, around them, through them, always maintaining its essential nature while adapting to every circumstance. The sound of flowing water has the power to wash away the accumulated tensions of the mind. Something in that sound connects you to the primal rhythm of existence, to the flow of life itself. As you listen, notice how your thoughts begin to settle, how the internal dialogue naturally quiets. This is not distraction. This is attunement to the deeper currents of being. The sky offers perhaps the most profound teaching of all, vast, open, containing everything while remaining uncontained. Clouds arise and dissolve in the sky. Storms pass through it, but the sky itself remains untouched, unchanged. You are that sky. Your thoughts, emotions, and experiences are like weather patterns. They come and go, but the awareness in which they arise is eternal, unchanging, always present. On a clear night, look up at the stars. Feel the vastness that contains both you and those distant lights. In that moment, something in you recognizes its own infinite nature. The same consciousness that looks up at the stars is somehow connected to the very space between them. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are the cosmos knowing itself through the temporary form you call your body. The seasons teach you about the natural rhythm of emergence and dissolution. Spring arrives not through effort, but through surrender to the deeper intelligence that orchestrates all of life. The flowers don't push their way out of the earth. They open when the conditions are right, when the time is perfect. There is no hurry, no anxiety, no doubt. There is only the patient unfolding of what is seeking to emerge. In winter, when the trees stand bare against the sky, they don't mourn the loss of their leaves. They rest in the knowing that this apparent death is not an ending but a preparation for new life. They teach you about the beauty of letting go, about the wisdom of cycles, about the perfection of apparent emptiness. Take a conscious breath and feel the air entering your lungs. This same air has been breathed by every living being on earth. You are sharing the breath of life with all of existence. In this one breath, you are connected to the first human who ever lived and the last one who ever will. The breath is not yours. It is life itself, moving through you as you. Birds know how to ride the currents of air without effort. They don't fight the wind. They dance with it. They teach you about the art of effortless movement, about trusting the invisible forces that support all life. When you watch a bird in flight, something in you remembers what it feels like to be carried by something greater than the personal will. Even the smallest insects carry profound teachings. The butterfly's metamorphosis shows you that transformation is not about improving what you are, but about dissolving what you think you are and allowing what you truly are to emerge. The caterpillar doesn't try to become a butterfly. It surrenders so completely to the process that its entire identity dissolves, and what emerges is something unprecedented, beautiful, free. The earth itself is breathing, expanding and contracting with the cycles of day and night, the seasons, the tides. When you align your own breathing with this larger rhythm, you remember that you are not separate from the living planet that sustains you. You are an expression of the Earth's consciousness, a way that the planet experiences itself. In the presence of natural beauty, the artificial boundaries that the mind creates between self and world begin to dissolve. You realize that the peace you feel in nature is not something nature gives you. It is what remains when you stop projecting your mental turmoil onto the world. Nature is always at peace because it exists in the eternal now. When you join it there, you discover that peace is your natural state as well. The human face, when truly seen, reveals the same depth of beauty that you find in nature. Look into someone's eyes, not at their eyes, but into them. Notice how the light of consciousness looks back at you. That light is not personal. It is the same awareness that looks through your own eyes, temporarily experiencing itself as another. When two people meet in this depth of seeing, something sacred happens. The personalities, the stories, the differences of opinion become secondary to the recognition of shared being. This is love in its purest form. Not the love that needs something from the other, but the love that recognizes no other. The love that sees the same essence everywhere. Listen to music that moves you deeply. Notice what happens in those moments when the melody seems to dissolve all sense of separation. You are not listening to the music. You become the listening itself. The boundaries between listener and music fade, and there is only the eternal now expressing itself as sound, as silence, as the awareness in which both arise. The musician who creates from a space of presence becomes a channel for something beyond the personal mind. The resulting music carries this quality of presence and can awaken the same stillness in those who encounter it with open hearts. This is why certain music can instantly transport you beyond the realm of thought into pure being. Watch a master craftsperson at work. Notice how their hands move with a wisdom that seems to come from beyond thought. They are not thinking about what they are doing. They have become the doing itself. The creation emerges not from mental planning, but from a deep communion between consciousness and matter, between the formless and form. Great art has this same quality. It emerges from the space beyond the personal mind and speaks directly to that same space in the viewer. When you stand before a painting that truly moves you, you are not seeing pigment on canvas. You are seeing the artist's consciousness made visible, and that consciousness recognizes itself in you. The beauty of authentic human connection lies not in what is said, but in the quality of presence that is shared. When someone truly listens to you, not waiting for their turn to speak, but actually receiving your words with their whole being, something healing happens. You feel met, seen, understood, not because they agree with you, but because they are present with you. This quality of presence is available to you in every interaction. When you listen to another from the space of stillness rather than from the chatter of mental commentary, you offer them one of the greatest gifts possible, the gift of your complete attention. In that attention, they remember who they are beyond their stories, beyond their problems, beyond their identity. The laughter of children carries this same gift. It arises spontaneously from pure joy, without agenda, without self-consciousness. When you hear genuine laughter, something in you remembers what it feels like to be completely present, completely alive, completely free from the burden of taking yourself too seriously. Even in moments of grief, when the heart is broken open, there is a profound beauty in the raw authenticity of human emotion. The tears that flow are not a sign of weakness, but of the depth of love that connects all beings. In shared sorrow, the walls between hearts dissolve, and you remember that you are not alone in this human experience. The most ordinary moments can become extraordinary when they are met with presence. The way morning light falls across your kitchen table, the sound of water boiling for tea, the feeling of your feet touching the floor when you first get out of bed. These simple experiences become doorways into the sacred when they are received with conscious attention. Your morning coffee can become a meditation. Feel the warmth of the cup in your hands. Notice the steam rising, the aroma, the first taste on your tongue. When you drink with full awareness, you are not just consuming a beverage, you are participating in a moment of conscious communion with life itself. The act of washing dishes can become a prayer. Feel the warm water on your hands. Notice the play of light on the soap bubbles. Be present with the simple movements of cleaning. When you bring this quality of attention to mundane tasks, they reveal their hidden beauty. You discover that there is no such thing as a meaningless moment, only moments that are met with or without awareness. Walking can become a moving meditation. Feel each step as a conscious choice to be present with the earth beneath your feet. Notice how your body moves through space, how your breathing coordinates with your movement, how the world reveals itself differently from the perspective of walking rather than rushing. The face of a stranger on the street can become a mirror reflecting your own true nature. When you see beyond the surface differences of age, race, or social position, you recognize the same life force that animates your own body. That recognition, even if it lasts only a moment, contributes to the healing of the sense of separation that causes so much suffering in the world. The space between words carries as much meaning as the words themselves. In conversation, notice the pauses, the silences, the moments when communication happens beyond language. These spaces are not empty. They are pregnant with possibility, with the potential for deeper understanding, with the presence that makes all genuine connection possible. Even your own reflection in the mirror can become a doorway to presence. Instead of immediately judging what you see, can you look with the same gentle attention you would give to a flower? Can you see beyond the surface to the life that looks back at you? Can you recognize the miracle of consciousness becoming visible to itself? The transformation of the ordinary into the sacred is not something you do. It is something that happens when you remove the veil of mental noise that usually obscures your natural capacity to see clearly. Presence is not a state you achieve. It is what you are when you stop trying to be something else. Notice what happens when you see something beautiful and immediately the mind says, "This reminds me of." In that moment, you are no longer seeing this flower, this sunset, this face before you. You are seeing a memory, a comparison, a projection from the past. The present moment is lost in mental association, and the beauty that was calling you into presence is obscured by the fog of thought. The mind has this compulsive need to categorize, to file every experience into familiar patterns. It cannot bear the unknown, the unprecedented, the utterly fresh moment that beauty always is. So it immediately begins its work of translation, turning the living experience into a mental concept, a memory to be stored and referenced later. Watch this process closely. You see a magnificent mountain vista, and the mind immediately begins its commentary. This is beautiful. This reminds me of that place I visited. I should take a picture. I wonder what it's called. Each thought pulls you further away from the direct experience and into the realm of mental interpretation. The desire to capture beauty, to possess it somehow, arises from the ego's fundamental fear of impermanence. It cannot bear the fact that this moment will pass, that this beautiful experience will end, so it tries to freeze it, to make it into something permanent that can be owned, controlled, revisited at will. But beauty cannot be captured any more than you can capture the wind in your hand. The photograph may preserve the image, but it cannot preserve the quality of consciousness that was present when you encountered the beauty. Without that presence, the photograph is just information, data about something that once was alive but now exists only as memory. Sometimes the mind creates resistance to beauty because it seems unsafe to let down the guard of constant vigilance. The ego has constructed elaborate defenses against life, believing that by maintaining control, by staying alert to potential threats, it can somehow avoid suffering. But these same defenses also block the experience of beauty, of joy, of love. To truly see beauty requires a kind of surrender that the ego fears. It means letting go of the need to understand, to analyze, to remain in control. It means becoming vulnerable to the unknown, to the possibility of being moved, of being changed by what you encounter. The ego would rather maintain its familiar tension than risk the dissolution that occurs in moments of true aesthetic appreciation. The mind also judges beauty, creating hierarchies of what is more or less beautiful based on past conditioning, cultural programming, personal preferences. It sees a simple wildflower and dismisses it because it is not as spectacular as a rose. It hears a bird's song and considers it less beautiful than a symphony. In this judging, the unique gift of each moment is missed entirely. But beauty exists beyond the mind's categories. The dewdrop on a blade of grass contains the same essence as the vast ocean. The child's crayon drawing carries the same creative spirit as the master's painting. When you see with the eyes of presence rather than the filters of judgment, every expression of life reveals its own perfect beauty. The comparison that the mind makes between this beauty and other beauties is perhaps the most subtle obstacle to direct perception. This sunset is not as beautiful as the one I saw last week. In that comparison, the incomparable beauty of this particular sunset is missed entirely. Each moment of beauty is unprecedented, unique, never to be repeated in exactly this way. These mental patterns are not enemies to be fought, but simply habits of thought that can be recognized and gently released. The moment you become aware that you are thinking about beauty rather than experiencing it, you have already begun to return to direct perception. Awareness itself is the light that dissolves the clouds of mental commentary. The breath can become your anchor in this return to presence. Right now, take one conscious breath and feel the life force entering your body. This simple act of conscious breathing creates a bridge between the thinking mind and the experiencing self. It anchors you in the present moment where beauty lives. When you encounter something beautiful, allow your breathing to become conscious. Don't try to control it, just become aware of it. Notice how the breath naturally deepens in the presence of beauty. Notice how the rhythm of breathing seems to synchronize with the rhythm of life itself. As you breathe consciously while experiencing beauty, something profound happens. The artificial separation between the one who sees and what is seen begins to dissolve. You are not breathing at the beauty, you are breathing with it as part of the same life force that animates all existence. Feel the breath entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, oxygenating your blood. This same air has been part of countless other beings. You are sharing the breath of life with every tree, every animal, every human who has ever lived. In this recognition, the illusion of separation dissolves, and you remember your fundamental unity with all life. The breath is also a perfect metaphor for the nature of beauty itself. It comes and goes, arises and dissolves, cannot be grasped or held. Yet it is always available, always present, always offering itself as a doorway into the deeper dimensions of being. Like beauty, the breath asks only for your attention, your presence, your willingness to receive what is freely given. When you breathe consciously in the presence of a flower, you might notice that you are not just looking at the flower, you are participating in the same life force that created it. The oxygen you breathe was given off by plants, and the carbon dioxide you exhale nourishes them in return. You are part of an intricate web of mutual support that includes every living thing. This recognition can transform your relationship to the natural world. You begin to see that you are not separate from nature, but an expression of it. The beauty you perceive in the natural world is not foreign to you. It is the same creative intelligence that formed your body, that beats your heart, that grows your hair and nails while you sleep. Use the breath as a reminder throughout your day. When you notice something beautiful, let it call you into conscious breathing. Let the beauty and the breath work together to anchor you in presence. Over time, this becomes not a practice you do, but a way you live. A constant return to the aliveness that is always available in this moment. The healing power of beauty, when combined with conscious breathing, is profound. Old patterns of suffering that have been held in the body for years can dissolve in moments of truly conscious aesthetic appreciation. The nervous system, which has been trained to be constantly alert for danger, remembers its natural state of ease and relaxation. When you are suffering, whether from physical pain, emotional distress, or mental agitation, beauty can serve as medicine. Not by distracting you from the pain, but by connecting you to something larger than the pain, something that contains the pain while remaining unaffected by it. The beauty you perceive reminds you that you are not your suffering. You are the space in which all experiences arise and pass away. Grief, when met with presence and beauty, can be transformed from a burden into a gateway to deeper compassion. The tears that flow in the presence of beauty are not just personal. They are the response of the heart to the recognition of life's preciousness, its fragility, its incredible gift. In those tears, you connect with the universal experience of loss and love that defines the human condition. Anxiety dissolves when attention is fully absorbed in something beautiful. The mind's constant projection into an imagined future cannot survive in the immediacy of aesthetic experience. When you are fully present with a sunset, a piece of music, or a loved one's smile, there is no room for worry. The present moment is complete, perfect, lacking nothing. Depression often lifts in the presence of recognized beauty because depression is fundamentally a disconnection from the life force that animates all existence. Beauty reminds you that you are not separate from life. You are life itself, temporarily forgetting its own nature. The darkness that seemed so solid begins to dissolve in the light of conscious appreciation. This is not temporary relief, but genuine healing. When you consistently return to presence through the doorway of beauty, you are not just managing symptoms. You are addressing the root cause of suffering, which is the illusion of separation from life itself. Beauty literally rewrites the neural pathways that have been conditioned to expect and create suffering. The pain body, that accumulated energy of past hurts and grievances, cannot survive in the light of present moment awareness. Beauty serves as a kind of spiritual chemotherapy, dissolving the toxic patterns that have been stored in the body while leaving the healthy cells of consciousness intact. What remains is your original nature, peaceful, joyful, free. Watch how children naturally use beauty as healing. A child who is upset will often be comforted by something beautiful, a flower, a gentle touch, a song. They have not yet learned to resist the healing power of beauty. They instinctively know that beauty and suffering cannot coexist in the same moment of awareness. Living from the space of beautiful awareness means that you no longer seek beauty as something outside yourself to be found and possessed. You recognize that beauty is a quality of consciousness that you bring to every moment, every encounter, every experience. When you are present, everything reveals its hidden beauty because you are seeing with the eyes of love rather than the filters of judgment. This transformation happens gradually, naturally, without force or effort. As you practice returning to presence through the doorway of beauty, you begin to notice that your whole relationship to life shifts. Instead of constantly seeking the next experience to bring you happiness, you discover that happiness was always here, waiting for your recognition. You begin to understand that the beauty in your life is not random, not accidental. It is the universe's way of calling you home to yourself, of reminding you of who you truly are, beyond the stories of the mind. Every flower that catches your eye, every sunset that stops your breath, every moment of genuine connection with another human being is a personal invitation from life itself to remember your true nature. From this understanding, a natural compassion emerges. You see that everyone is seeking the same thing you were seeking: the recognition of beauty, of love, of peace. But most people are looking in the wrong direction, seeking outside themselves what can only be found within. Your presence becomes a gift that helps others remember what they are truly seeking. When you speak from this space of recognition, your words carry a healing quality, not because you are trying to heal or teach, but because you are speaking from the source of healing itself. When you listen from this space, others feel truly heard, truly seen, truly met. Your very presence becomes a reminder that peace is possible, that beauty is everywhere, that love is our true nature. This is not about becoming special or superior to others. It is about becoming ordinary in the most extraordinary way, fully present, fully alive, fully available to what is. This ordinariness is actually the highest achievement of human consciousness. To be so present that you disappear into presence itself. Your daily life becomes a continuous opportunity to practice this recognition. The morning light on your kitchen table, the sound of water running, the feeling of your feet on the floor, the face of a stranger, the laughter of children. Every moment offers the possibility of awakening to the beauty that is always present when you are present. You begin to create more beauty in your environment, not from compulsion, but from overflow. The beauty you have recognized within yourself naturally expresses itself in how you arrange your living space, how you speak to others, how you move through the world. You become a conscious participant in the universe's eternal creative expression. The ripple effects of this way of being extend far beyond your personal experience. Every moment of clear seeing, every instant of recognized beauty contributes to the collective awakening of consciousness on our planet. Your inner transformation is actually one of the most significant contributions you can make to the healing of our world. This is not a burden but a joy, not a responsibility but a privilege. When you are established in the recognition of beauty as your own essential nature, service flows effortlessly. You cannot help but contribute to the awakening of others because your very being radiates the peace you have discovered. And so we come to the end of our time together, though of course there is no real ending to this exploration. The doorway of beauty is always open, always inviting you deeper into the mystery of your own being. Whether through the grandeur of nature or the simple grace of an ordinary moment, whether through art or human connection or the sacred act of breathing, the invitation is constant. You need not wait for perfect conditions or extraordinary circumstances. The beauty that can awaken you to your true nature is as close as your next breath, as immediate as the light that is reading these words through your eyes right now. The portal is here, the doorway is open, and you are already home. Take one more conscious breath with me now. Feel the aliveness that animates your body, the awareness that has been present throughout this entire exploration. That awareness is not separate from the beauty we have been discussing. It is beauty itself, recognizing itself, celebrating itself, awakening to itself through the miraculous form you call your life. The seeking can end here, in this moment, in this recognition. What you have been searching for was never absent, never lost, never separate from you. You are the beauty you have been seeking, the presence you have been longing for, the love you have been trying to find. Rest here, in this knowing, in this timeless space where all questions dissolve and only wonder remains.